Okay, episode 44. Wow, great to be back. This episode is sponsored by patreon.com/Redhawk Academy. Each week I'm doing a solo pod of the subjects that they want me to talk about, or the Patreon brothers want me to talk about, and we'll talk about those. Every week a solo pod, and I can give away way more juice on those pods than this one that goes on YouTube, because it's just the Patreon brothers. You get 20% off all the merch, and you get 30% off Thorn supplements. 30 fucking percent off Thorn supplements. So, and there's content going up there all the time that's not going up anywhere else. So if you want to support the podcast, like and subscribe, or if you really want to be a part of the crew, patreon.com/Redhawk Academy. Okay, I'm here with my friend and training partner for, a couple of years now, right? 3 years? 3 years probably. Kyle Stewart, former Marine and professional fighter with, how many professional fights? 21 professional fights on your dog? So yeah. 21 fights. So, dude, you joined the military and became a machine gunner for the Marines and spent 8 years in service, and you did 3 tours.
Yeah, I had 4 deployments, but 3 of them were combat deployments to Afghanistan. One was a party deployment to Okinawa in the Philippines and Thailand. That was pretty.
What does a party deployment mean?
It was a Marine expeditionary unit. It was the 31st MEU, so it's not like a party. It's not a party deployment, but basically they call it a booze cruise. So I tell people I deployed 3 times, but I tell people I deployed 4 times, but only 3 of them really counted.
Yeah.
So like we
the
got
booze
to go,
cruise, escorts, chicks, everything you need.
I had my 21st birthday in Pattaya Beach, Thailand. Like, I'm talking like
Ladyboy Central.
Ladyboy Central, man, 100%.
And some of them will trick you, huh?
No, dude, not trick you. You look at them.
Fuck you.
Dude, I used to have like an Asian thing. Like when I was a kid, I don't know if it was because I was into martial arts growing up. I was like really into Asian women, and then I went to Thailand. I say Thailand ruined it for me because there was like, it was just wild. It's like my buddy compares the scene walking down Pattaya Beach, Thailand.
Consider good.
I'm good. Remember in the movie 300 when like they go into like Xerxes' tent. There's like drugs and an orgy and like just craziness.
It was like that?
That's like the closest thing to it. I was like, dude, like you get catcalled by women or lady boys as you're walking down the street. I was hammered, dude. I was hammered, and
when you're hammered, it's like, are you getting a little curious or?
No. I was actually, so I had a girlfriend at that time, and I was like straight arrow, like, so I didn't
fuck around.
I didn't fuck around at all, but I got drunk. I mean, I was walking around, like they were literally like, you'll walk down the street like, hey, sexy man, I suck your dick, and you're like, whoa.
And you're not quite sure if it's a boy or a girl. You're not quite sure, or you're sure.
Some of them you're pretty sure, and some of them you're like, I don't know. But there was this one that was very obvious. She was like, sexy man, I suck your dick, and I was like, you got it, and I was hammered. I was like, you got a dick, and then just the demeanor on her face, I was like,
she gonna fuck you up?
I was like, like, because they're like not just protected there, but like, I don't know if I would say elevated, like they're like a very, like they don't treat them there like we in America see them.
Yeah, just treat them normal.
Yeah, no, not just normal, but like they're I don't know, they're very protected, very respected, very. So it's like,
which they should be. I feel like, yeah.
Yes. But like, I was just hammered. I was turning 21. I was a young dumb Marine. So, and it was just me and all my boys, and we had gone to Afghanistan the deployment before, and it was a rough deployment before. So it was kind of like, you get a bunch of Marines that like a year and a half prior, we're in Helmand province of Afghanistan running and gunning, and then fast forward a year and a half down the road, we're in Thailand and the Philippines and Singapore, and it's just like,
I bet there was some crazy
booze and whores and
crazy fucking memories, because when we're in Call of Duty with us four your boys, and you're just wanting to fucking let loose, dude. So when you went to the real deployment, you were, there was points where you were gunning people.
Oh yeah.
Gunning them down, like in war, heavy.
Yeah, so I was so that's what I tell people, like it's always funny to me when and I don't do it's not a dick measuring contest, but when like people will be like, hey, oh, you're a Marine? Yeah, hey, my daughter's in the Air Force. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But that's kind of like compared to this. It's like if people are like, oh, Tim, like you're a professional MMA fighter. Yeah, my kid, he just got his stripe on his white belt in jiu-jitsu, and you're like, well, like jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts, they're both martial arts, but it's not the same thing.
Different.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I was an infantry machine gunner 2008 to 2014. Like that was when Afghanistan was hot. That was like when we were still.
And how old were you when you shipped off? And was it like you said goodbye to your parents? And was that like a tough thing? Because I can't even imagine doing something like that.
No, I was excited, man. Like I was 19 when I went to Afghanistan for the first time. So
in training, they kind of prepared your brains to be excited for this.
Yeah, it's very like the Marine Corps. There's a saying. It's like the Army's the Army, the Air Force is a corporation, and the Marine Corps is a cult. Like the Marine Corps, especially the infantry, it's like a cult, but like you love it. Yeah. It's like imagine like a college wrestling team of just dudes that instead of training every day to go, wrestle, you're training for war. But it's like insane. It's that camaraderie with those type of consequences. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's insane. So if you could go back to when you were younger, picking Marines, picking different things, would you pick the same thing, or what would you recommend for someone young?
It depends on the person. But for me, that's what I needed. That's what I wanted.
Well, you got that mindset too, and you're a professional fighter, and you're super resilient, you're super tough. So would you say, what's the toughest one to get into? Where you have to be the toughest motherfucker?
The toughest branch?
Yeah.
The Marine Corps is known for that, but then it's just like it's not necessarily branches. But once you get into like the special forces, when you get into like special forces, you're talking about I can to put it in perspective. It's like so like me when I compare myself to like a Tim Kennedy or like a Jocko, it's like it would be like I went to combat, I went to war, I had 3 deployments. Those guys could have 15 deployments. Damn. Where they're not out there just doing like the stuff that I was doing. They're like doing direct hits. It's like it'd be like comparing, like this kid did some amateur MMA and this guy's like in the UFC. Yeah.
So and like, Jocko's like a higher up making the calls and shit, right?
Yeah. But that's kind of like what I would compare it. It's like I went to combat, but I didn't do it at the level that those guys did. Yeah.
Does any of your buddies on those 3 deployments, do they suffer with PTSD pretty bad, or do you?
Yeah, I would say a lot.
And what kind of stuff triggers it?
I wouldn't. All right, so this is the thing is I don't like the stigma of PTSD. I think sometimes it gets used as a scapegoat because we all have things that we deal with. Yeah. Like with me, it's not necessarily PTSD. I'd say the craziest thing I have is I have really bad like night terrors. But with me, it's like anxiety because I'm used to like in the Marine Corps. Like so, for instance, when you're going through like a chaotic situation, like a gunfight, and it's the same thing when I'm fighting. It's just like solve the problem. Like I'm I get very emotionless, like, and so like when like my girlfriend and I are having an argument, like I get very like a matter of fact, like it's like
emotionless,
very emotionless. Like I start dealing with like because like when you're in combat and when you're in high level situations and high stress level situations, it's like you don't have time to be emotional. And like with women, they're so emotional about everything. Yeah. And then so when you shut your emotions off and you start giving them very logical but very cold solutions, they're like, you can't talk to me like that. Like, how could you just say that and not care? And it's like I'm giving you a solution to the problem. And that's the biggest thing with me is like when in stress and anxiety, and it helps me in fighting. Yeah, right. Because like when you're getting punched in the face or somebody's mount, like you just like, what's the next move? What's the next move?
Well, that's the thing. I remember Greg Jackson told me a long time when I was on the Fight Master Bellator show. He's like, you gotta just train yourself to not have any emotions. Because my second fight in the show, I kind of went in there with a lot of emotions. I didn't really want to be there. I cut weight twice in a row. I'm like, fuck this. But Yeah, and that was an important lesson I learned. You have to have no emotions at a high level. And going through your amateur career and stuff, you kind of learn about that. Because in your amateur career, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of emotions. Sometimes you're pissed, sometimes you're scared, but like at a high level pro, it's going to be two emotionless guys usually fighting.
That's always been the hardest for me because I get emotional. Like, did you watch my fight with James when I fought him live? Did you watch that? So, like, going into the 5th round, like, I knew I was losing, so I started talking. I'm not like talking shit, but I'm like chirping at James. I'm like, because I was emotional. I was like, God damn it, I'm losing this fucking fight. You know, that's always been something hard for me to control. It's a lot better now when I walk out to the cage. I'm like, all right, we're going out to do business. You know, but like when I got to the UFC, my first walk to the UFC, like I was crying walking to the octagon because I was just so fired up, and it was like my heart rate was if I was already fighting. I'm just walking to the cage.
Yeah, and that's something fucking. I mean, if you've never fought before, especially in the UFC, all that pressure, your whole life, the past 10 years have been built up to making it to this fucking moment. And I mean, in your career, dude, you've tried to fight the toughest guys possible all the time, and it's pretty badass. You've had a sick fucking career. I mean, at one point, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, you're 10-0, 10-0, fought James, lost, beat Braden Smith, and then you got a call short notice to the UFC. I remember. Wasn't that a week notice?
Yeah, it was 5. It was so I got a call. So check this out. This is what I tell people when people, oh, this guy had to cut so much weight. I'm like, fuck off. I had to cut weight. So my manager originally called me. I think it was it was Friday. He's like, hey, there was an opening in the UFC, but he had done this like 5 times. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. And
done then, what? I called the guy take it, and then they offer to the UFC, and they say,
he said, hey, Kyle will take it, and they always went with someone else. So I didn't think much of it, but I was 202, and I was 202, and it was like on a Friday.
And was that the day we all met at P Jungle?
No, that was a Sunday. So P Jungle was a Sunday, and he had called me officially and told me like, hey, dude, you're in the UFC, you got to cut weight. And I was like, and I had cut a little bit, but I got down to like 98. And then so I went from 198 on Sunday night to 170 the 171. Following. Yeah, 171 the following Friday. So 28 pounds in 5 days.
Yeah, the only person I knew who did shit like that was Joe Riggs, dude. Anytime you're cutting I mean, usually if you're pissing clear, I mean, you at least probably got 20 pounds of water in you. But, dude, 30 pounds?
Yeah.
30. You fucked yourself up.
Yeah. Like, I remember.
Who helped you with it?
Eddie. Eddie was big. It was good, like, because he kept me going, but he kept having me try to force hydrate water to where it's like 72 hours before the fight, I'm like, or before weigh-ins, 48 hours before weigh-ins, I'm like in the 90s. Yeah. And he's like, drink a gallon. I'm like, Eddie, I'm 94 right now, and I'm tired.
Fuck.
But
what were you eating too? Just like
nothing.
Just barely. Handful of berries.
Dude, a piece of salmon.
And
then like a gallon of water. But like that was the hardest. Like, I mean, the last 5 hours, the morning of weigh-ins, it took me like 5-6 hours to cut the last 5-6 pounds because I couldn't get on a treadmill. I had no energy. I couldn't walk on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Like walking, I would walk to a spot and then I would just lay on the ground, like in the hotel. Like waiting for the bus to come get us. I was like laying on the stairs in the hotel. And then I couldn't, because you know how like when you're cutting weight, you got to turn the engine on, put your plastics on, get it heated up from the inside out, get on the treadmill. And then once you get your good sweat going, you can sit in the sauna and start pulling all the rest of the water out. But it took me so long, I didn't lose an ounce for almost like an hour and a half, just sitting in the sauna, practically naked, wearing spandex.
Yeah.
Trying to get the sweat to come. And eventually, after an hour and a half, I started beating. And then I was able to cut the last 5-6 pounds in the last 5 hours.
Yeah, it's fucking a bitch. So what fight did you fuck your eye up in?
I fucked my eye up I actually fucked it up in my LFA fight. Really the only shot the kid caught me with, I came in, he hit me with
against like Tim Karen?
Yeah. He hit me with a left hook, and it was right in the eyeball. Like, and my eye was open. It's like, you know when you're sparring, you get whacked in the eye, and you're like, oh, man, it's that stinging feeling. But he hit me with that, and then it immediately in my eye, my right eye, he split into two. And I was like, that's weird. So I kind of like backed up and I put like a hard stance on him and I was fainting on him a little bit to like bluff like I can see fine. And then it went back to normal and it was good. And then I noticed after that, when I came back and I was sparring, there was just real weird bright spots, especially at the lab, because the room's dark. It's kind of dark in the training room, but the lights are bright. So the way that I was looking at the lights was weird. And then I noticed there was something wrong with it. And I was like, okay, whatever. Well, I'll get it checked out after the fight. And then I went and fought Chris Curtis. So like my shit was messed up from the fight before I fought Chris Curtis. Then after fighting him, I got it checked out, and I knew what it was because I was so terrified. There was literally like it got to where like I could have my hand right here in front of my face and not see it.
So what was it?
It was a detached retina.
Okay, so a detached retina. You ended up getting it fixed, and then you went and KO'd John Poppy, got it fixed. KO'd John Poppy.
Definitely the sickest knockout of my career.
Yeah, and then go to the Ultimate Fighter. Tell them what happened with the Ultimate Fighter thing.
Well, so I went to the Ultimate Fighter before I fought John Poppy, and I was pissed, dude, because I told them like, hey, I just had eye surgery about 6 weeks ago, but my eye's good. Like I can see now. It's good, and I feel comfortable fighting. And they were like, yeah, just come on out, and you'll be good. As long as you pass the medicals and everything, you'll be good. And I was like, I'm okay, but I'm telling you, I had eye surgery 6 weeks ago. You should coordinate that with them now before. Dude, I freaking packed up all my stuff, put it in storage, moved out of my apartment because I was gonna go be on the Ultimate Fighter.
You just had it kind of set, or did you get the feel from the producers that they liked you?
Oh yeah, it was kind of like I knew they wanted me on the show.
And you have a big record. You just beat John Poppy, so it's like perfect.
Yeah, so they had me go out there, and I hadn't fought John Poppy yet. This was after the Chris Curtis. So it was coming off a loss to Chris Curtis. So I go out to Vegas, and we go to look at my eye, and I'm looking at the eye doctor, and he's like, dude, I can't let you fight like this. And I was like, I understand the risk, right? You're not doing me a favor by not letting me fight here. Because the thing is, like, on the regional scene, like, if you don't let me do the Ultimate Fighter, I got to go back and fight on the regional scene, right? I got to fight the Chris Curtises of the world for $2,000.
Yep, exactly.
I got paid $2,000 to fight Chris Curtis. A year later, he's got six figures in the UFC.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And he was a killer before then. Like, everybody in the scene knows how good Chris Curtis is.
Yeah.
So it's not like I was not excited taking that fight, So I was like, dude, you need to understand, like, I'm here in the Ultimate Fighter. I have a chance to get back in the UFC, and I'm making at least 5-5 on the Ultimate Fighter, as compared to making 2-2, and I'm making 5-5 fighting guys that are 5-0.
Yeah,
like they had a kid from Alaska that was like 3-0, and I'm like, dude, like I was fighting 5-0 guys fucking 10 fights ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're just not on the level. They haven't competed. They're not at the level that I'm at. So in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to be cocky, but this is going to be a cakewalk.
I'm going to win this.
100%. I'm going to beat every dude in this house. And he was like, I understand, man. I understand you really want it, but I can't let you fight. Fuck. And I was just like, he tries to act like I'm saving you from yourself. And I'm like, no, fuck you. Because I have to go back out, and I got to go fight John Poppy, and I got to fight Nishan. Everybody I fought since the UFC before I got to Bellator was a UFC, PFL, Bellator, Ultimate Fight. Like
all of them are the best. Top.
All
guys.
of them have competed at a very high level before.
Yeah.
But I was fighting them for $2,000. You know what I'm saying?
That's the fucking thing. Outside of the UFC, outside of Bellator, outside of these shows, you're literally, even in the LFA, you're fighting UFC caliber guys. Sometimes better than UFC caliber guys for literally $3,000. $1,500 a show, $1,500 to win. It's like
I fought Zach Otto, had 8 fights in the UFC, and I fought him for regional level money. It was good. I made like $7,000 for that fight, but I made $7,000 to fight a guy who I should be making 30 and 30 to fight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the hard part about fighting. People look at fighting and they think it's all this glorious thing, and then they think, we've talked about it before, like when you make it to the UFC, you've made it. Wow, you've made it. It's like, dude, no, you haven't.
No.
Now the work now there's way more pressure on you, especially if you're not like a huge name yet. There's way more. You have to have good performances, or you're gonna get cut quick.
Yeah, that was, you know what? I think I've told you this before. Like my mental space when I got to the UFC, the guys that I lost to in the UFC, it's whatever. Everybody says, "Oh, I'd go back and beat those guys," but like I fully believe I'm not making 170 anytime soon.
Yeah.
But skill for skill, I think I smash those guys if I fight them now, 100%.
Yeah, which is weird. I've thought that too, because you fight those same guys in the LFA where you have great performances all the time here in Phoenix, and you'd probably smoke them both.
Yeah, but it was more than that. It was like I had come to the lab. I was at the lab for 6 months. James had just mauled me in the LFA. It was like I had been exposed to something that I didn't know, And then I come to the lab thinking like, oh, well, James smashed me, but other guys can't smash me like that. And Mike Hamill, who was a 45er at the time, smashes me like that. Tim Welch smashes me like that. So like the breakdown process, it's almost like I was better blindly confident than I was with better skills, but I wasn't confident. Like I started learning more of the X's and O's of intricate wrestling, intricate grappling.
Yeah. I mean, and who's to say you might have been more dangerous not knowing?
Yeah, no,
going in and be like, no, I'm knocked this motherfucker out. He cannot grapple me.
That's what I'm saying is I really felt like I was more dangerous not knowing. Like in my head, I was like when I fought James, I was like, I'm smashing him.
Yeah,
like
easy.
I'm gonna smash him. And then it was just like, oh, he's doing shit I don't know. Like, and then I come to the lab and I'm like, oh, they're all doing that. Like they all know this. And I like this is before, I think I've told you before the Saturday before my UFC fight, I'm doing a cage round with you in the cage, right? And you want to talk about having no confidence. You submitted me 5 times in a 1-minute cage round. And and it's like, for y'all who've never seen Tim train, you get after it. I love it, dude. I love the intensity. And it's just like snapping on rear naked and just like, I got fucked up. And I was like, I remember at the end of the round, I was just like, man, I suck, dude. Like, dude, I'm so far behind in so many areas that I didn't know before I came to the lab. And I was 10-0.
Yeah.
Like imagine getting to be 10-0 and then all of a sudden you feel like an area that you thought, oh, I'm good here.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not. And then a week later, I'm in the UFC fighting a grappler, and he goes to take me down, and then just those bad thoughts in my head start sinking, and I'm like, I can't be here. Like I'm in big trouble here. So you start to move in slow motion, and it's just like you're watching. It's like you're outside of yourself.
Well, yeah, and you said the motions you had going to the cage too, plus the weight cut. It's like you just fucking zapped you're probably fighting at maybe your 60% potential, but you walk around about what weight? You're 6'3", and you walk around what weight?
I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot.
No fucking way.
I'm
dude.
6 foot, dude.
If we go back to back, you're definitely taller than me. Dude.
I might be almost 6'1".
Okay.
But like when I was at 170, the biggest I would get, the biggest would be 202. But I was generally walking around 96 to 202. And then that was the thing after the UFC cut me. I was like, do I really want to do this anymore? Because it was always just about being in the UFC. And I thought about like what I really... Like you have to do the soul searching, like because I'm knowing like I have to go back down to MMA purgatory.
Yep.
I'm the guys that I'm gonna be fighting there are just as good, if not better.
Yep.
Like Chris Curtis, better than both the guys I fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
But instead of getting paid what I was in the UFC, which is 12-12, I'm getting paid 2-2. You know.
So who did you talk to because people? That happens all the time. You make to the UFC and then you have this moment where it's like, okay, do I keep dedicating my life to this, or do I start looking at kind of different pathways? It kind of happened for me when I broke my jaw. I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, I'm like, what the fuck should I do here? What the fuck should I do here? And it kind of all came about in a perfect way to be able to open my own gym and start really focusing on sugar a lot more. So it came kind of natural to move out of the fighting. Who helped you with it?
It just kind of similar but moved into a different lane?
Yeah, and
Okay.
and it was just because
But you're passionate about
I
it.
love martial arts so
Yeah,
much,
same.
and now I don't have to be like, oh, I have to fight to stay in there, and I have to go get a job.
I got
have
to
to
win or
fight.
I can't pay rent.
Yeah.
You know?
Now it's like I get to train with my students every day. I get to teach it, and it's just I don't have that stress in the back of my mind anymore. Who helped you with like, hey, let's keep grinding, let's keep going? Was it just you who made the decision?
Well, it was me. I sat down with Crouch. God bless Crouch, man. Him and I met up. I just wanted to talk to him. I was like, do I still want to do this? I didn't know. But I love the process. You know, just like you said, martial arts. Like, I love being in the gym with the boys.
Me too.
It's like, that's the thing. This is what we'll get back to the Marine Corps thing. I love being in the gym with the guys. Like, I love the tribe, right? Like, I love being a part of the tribe, right? And that's the biggest thing that I lost, that people lose when they get out of the Marine, when they get, especially the infantry. That's your tribe, dude.
That's your crew.
Like, you'll never have more purpose or more of a belonging or more closer to another human being who's not actually blood related than going to war with guys, right? But coming to mixed martial arts, that's the second best thing. So it's not like a huge drop off. A lot of guys get out of the military and they feel isolated because they're not with a tribe. So for me, I was like, I love this process. I love being in the gym. I love when I'm rolling with you and you're like, yo, hey, think about this. Maybe like right here, like giving me technical breakdowns, or training with Jared and you know, having that same conversation, and or training with Mike, whoever it is at the gym that I'm training with. And it's like we make each other better. And then I knew that I loved the process. What did I hate about it? I hated cutting to 170.
Yeah.
Like, I hated having to, even when I got down to where I always had two weight cuts. I had the cut to 186 and the cut from 86 to 70. You know, the cut to 186 sucked. And the cut from 86 to 70, I was a zombie from 86 to 70.
And you'd usually do it within 2 months or 3 months.
2 months.
I mean, God, dude, in those 2 months, it's like people don't realize how much enjoyment it takes out of your life.
Miserable.
Only being able to eat this much food is like,
And it's not even just the enjoyment, but it's like the training. The training is shit.
yeah.
The training is shit. Like, I could go and I'm trying to spar, and it's like I'm not. Why am I even sparring when I was cutting to 70? It's like, why am I even trying to spar at 187? I can't walk around.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. Like, this is miserable, piss poor training. And it's like me fighting at 80 or 85. It's like I enjoy training. Like, I can make the cut in 12 hours, no problem. From health, I can go from sparring to cut the last 12 pounds and be good.
Yeah.
You know, as compared to 70, it's just like zombie mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, for the Ultimate Fighter, I went to try out for 170, and they're like, can you make 55? I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I can. And I did 3 months just disciplined. But God damn it, I don't know why we decided to do that. Go to 55 and go to 70. I'm like, it really wasn't that fucking healthy.
It's such old school fucking mentality, man. And
It
it's
really
with
is.
it's with it's like it needs to change. And everybody has this idea that like I'm gonna drop weight. Like, you take a loss and you're like, oh man, you know, it's got to be the size.
I'm gonna go down.
And I'm like, no. There's examples of guys that go down and they're not the same. And there's examples of guys that go down and do great. Jared Cannonier.
Yeah.
You know, but like it's what you need to find where you're really comfortable at. And the answer is, if you take some losses, it's not, oh, I need to go down to a smaller weight class.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
And for me, like, I like to lift. I get big. Like, I'm fat right now because my back's jacked up and I haven't trained since my fight. But I'm like 211 right now. I got on the scale last night. I was like, ugh.
Damn.
It's not a good feeling, 211. I mean, it feels good when I'm eating, but I'm not like, I wouldn't take off my shirt and go to the beach right now.
Yeah, for sure. So where'd you get all your kind of like resilience and mental toughness from? Did you get it from your dad, or how did you kind of start learning how to be tough?
I would say for sure the Marine Corps. Like, dude, when I joined the Marine Corps, like, there's two different me's. Like, there's like, I was 18 in high school, rode the bench playing high school football, I was like the definition of the friend zone guy with like girls that I was friends with in high school. Like, I didn't have the confidence. I didn't, you know, because like you're playing football, you want to play, and you see all these guys that are studs, and they're running like 4.4, 4.5 40s, and I'm running like a 5.3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Awkward.
I'm like not an athlete. They're like benching 315. I'm like 195.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was in high school. So I joined the Marine Corps, and I just had this mentality of just like at that time, like that, like this is who I am, right? And I joined the Marine Corps. I tell people I went to boot camp. I could only do six pull-ups, and I was unable to run 3 miles in the 28-minute run time.
Damn, you just get too gassed.
No, like I'd never done it before. I graduated boot camp doing 18 pull-ups and a 19-minute 3-mile run time.
Fuck.
So, and then from there, I went out to the fleet, and I was around dudes. The thing is, it's like whether you embrace it or not, like whether you embrace the suck or you don't, you're still gonna have to get through it. And when you have people basically telling you like, I don't care if you suck, you're gonna fucking do this, right? Like
and you're around all your boys are doing it too, so it makes it like, hey, we're all doing it.
Well, no, but when you're new in the Marine Corps, it's miserable.
Oh,
like
really?
you're everybody's bitch. All the new guys are everybody's bitch, and like your senior Marines have already been to combat. They went to Iraq, and now you're around them, and it's like you look up to them because they're combat veterans, and that's what you want. And they've been there, and they're throttling you, and they're trying to prepare you for the situations when you're like, if bad shit's gonna happen, you don't have time to stop and feel sorry for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then you grow through that, and you go overseas, and you go through combat, and you go through this process of like, dude, like when I was it wasn't even just the combat, but I'll explain. Like, think about going 48 hours without sleep, right? Think about patrolling in the sun when it's 100. Think about patrolling middle of July up Camelback Mountain carrying 100 pounds.
And 48 hours no
and
sleep.
Having to watch where you step because you get your legs blown off. And at the same time trying to look for firing points where you could get ambushed, and then getting ambushed.
God.
And then
Your poor parents. Did they even know what was going on? They knew you were a gunner in fucking Afghan.
Oh yeah.
God.
But like, so you go through that, and it's just like you can be that miserable and make it through that. Just the hardness that you get from going through that. And then I'd come back. So after my third deployment, I was no longer like the new guy. I'd had 4 total deployments, 3 combat deployments. And then that's when I started fighting. And I knew that I had changed mentally, because when I started fighting, like that whole, oh, I'm not an athlete, this isn't for me, had changed because of what I had gone through in the Marine Corps. My first ever, it was basically a smoker fight. I knocked a dude out with a head kick. And I was like, and all my boys that were in my company were there.
Oh.
Like all my boys that I'd been through with. And it was kind of like, oh, yo, Stewart's going to go do an MMA fight. And I was like, fuck, man. Like I grew up doing martial arts.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy this, but I don't know how good I am. And I was nervous, and I got my boys there. Dude, I'm talking like 100 dudes.
Damn.
And I head kicked this dude flat out. And I was like, motherfucker. It was just like that moment. And all my boys are going crazy. And then my mentality changed, because now I'm the fucking man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the man now.
Hell yeah.
Like, and I had picked up sergeant in the Marine Corps. So I was a squad leader, sergeant in the Marine Corps. And I had started fighting. And all of a sudden, I'm the man amongst my peers in the Marine Corps. Like, I'm respected.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the guy that's in charge of a squad.
And that can whoop some ass.
And I whoop some ass, and I'm fighting in casinos on the weekends, and all these people are coming up, and I was still an amateur. But in my head, I was like, I was so far removed from that kid that rode the bench playing high school football, right?
Just going through the tough shit.
Yeah, and it was like, dude, like it's like my own motivational story where it's like, dude, you don't have to be that guy. You can be something else. If you stop feeling sorry for yourself. And you're going to go through some bullshit. You're going to go through some shit that you don't want to go through. But once you come out of that, you're not going to be the same person, right? So you combine my time and my experience in combat through my 3 deployments, and then also at the very end of my Marine Corps career when I started fighting, like I was a different person coming out than I was going in.
Yeah, that's that's pretty badass. So do a lot of guys, when they come back, do you have a lot of buddies that are on like healthy tracks, or a lot of guys addicted to drugs and pain pills and that kind of shit?
Yeah, that's the thing that fucking I don't know shit about. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
So, but I give my opinion for whatever it's worth.
The buddies hit you up sometimes. And
yeah. Yeah, like I'll get a call at 3:00 in the morning and I'll look, and like if I don't know the number, like I'll answer it because it'll be so and so in the middle of Wyoming. Like, dude, like I'm fucking in trouble, man. Like I'm addicted to heroin, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
God
and
damn.
I've had like, to me, like too many buddies commit suicide since we've come home, to where the like my mentality about it has totally changed. I don't like, people are like, oh, I don't think pills are the answer, but I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
That's my people say PTSD when they come back home. I think veterans struggle with a purpose and a tribe. Like, if you'll never have more of a purpose, you'll never have more of like a feeling. You're getting ready to walk across. I'll just describe a very specific moment. There was this field that we used to patrol across when I was in Afghanistan. We called it Yankee 9 Bravo. On the grid square, it was Yankee 9 Bravo. Probably doesn't make sense to you. But we called it the Field of Dreams. Every time we went across that, we got shot at. Every time we went across that, somebody got shot. So what they do is they would have like a designated marksman shoot, and then they would mask it with AK-47 fire. And so you're getting ready to cross this field, and you know something bad's going to happen.
Why do you have to cross it? Why not go around it? And you just got to cross it.
I asked that. I'm like, why do we have to go across this? Could we not just go? It's like entering into a situation where you know you're going to get sucker punched.
But you're trained not to question, right?
Yeah, you just do it.
Go.
You got to eat this shit sandwich.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to eat this shit sandwich. So I'm sitting there, and you're getting ready to go across this field, and you're like, you've been across this field, and guys have been across this field, and people have been shot going across this field. And consistently, it's guaranteed. You cross that line, it's popping off. So you just look at your boys, and you're like, fuck, let's fucking get this. You know, so that sense of purpose, that sense of like, I understand. That's where Guns Up comes from. It's like, I understand that I could catch one. I understand that I could get caught. But I'm going to fucking fight, right? And I'm going to fight for you. And you're going to fight for me. And we're going to fight for him. Because we're tired of seeing our boys get fucked up. Like, fuck that. So when you're in that situation, that sense of purpose that you get from those situations, you'll never have that again in life. You'll never have a situation when you come back from that to the real world, in the civilian world, where you're like, you're with your brothers day in, day out, every day. Even when you're not training in the field, you're partying and chasing puss. And then you go overseas and you go through that situation, and you'll never have that sense of purpose or that tribe, right? So you lose that when you come out. And that's what I think a lot of veterans are struggling with, is they don't have something to chase. They don't have their tribe, and they don't have something to move forward, something to set goals with. Like I went out and I went to community college for a little while, and I was just like, and I knew I wanted to fight. I literally left base, drove home, checked right into Arizona Combat Sports before I even went home, and started training. So a lot of veterans struggle with, that sounded kind of repetitive, a lot of veterans struggle not just with PTSD, but they're no longer a part of a tribe. And they're sitting in a community college class learning about fucking organelles and and they're like, what the fuck is this, dude? I used to kill people. You know what I'm saying? They're like, this is bullshit. This is dumb. And then you look at the political landscape, and it's like the way that college campuses are nowadays, and you're just like, they need safe spaces? My safe space was behind a berm about this big, trying not to catch one to the running lights. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need a safe space because words are violence. I've seen real violence. I know what real violence looks like. And so you go from, like, you take a lion from the fucking Sahara and you put him in a zoo. That's what it feels like for a lot of combat veterans.
I bet. So then they get some pain pills, or maybe some do marijuana. or psychedelics? Do you do any of that stuff?
No, I've got buddies that have done DMT, and I want to do it, but I'm not going to do it till I'm done fighting. And I've heard enough about it, seen enough podcasts where I'm just like, I want to do that, but I still, number one, I'm scared of my demons.
Yeah.
I'm scared of my
me
demons
too.
because I know that they're in there and they're dark. Like,
Yeah.
when I say, like, I have problems with night terrors, I have, like, real bad problems with night terrors. So, like, I don't know if what I see in my dreams is going to come back to me and how bad it might fuck with me.
Never mushrooms? Have you done any? Like,
I did mushrooms once, but it was a micro dose, and it wasn't enough to, like,
see your shit a little bit. You could try a couple grams of those, kind of get you prepared a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. I just I was smoking weed for a while. I don't smoke weed anymore. It's just I get too much anxiety. But I think for sure when I'm done fighting, I think I would have to do mushrooms to prepare myself to do DMT, because I definitely want to do it one day down the road when I'm done fighting. Number one is I don't want my ego to die.
Yeah.
Because when my ego's on fire, I have my best fights.
Bro.
Like when I walk in like it's my fucking show,
Yeah.
I send John Poppy's head into the fucking stratosphere.
Yep.
You know, like it's a different, like, and people talk about don't be cocky, be confident. I'm like, no, fuck, I want to be cocky.
For sure.
When I'm cocky, I fucking light dudes up, and it's a show. I was cocky when I fought John Poppy. I was cocky when I fought Zach Otto.
All your LFA fights.
Yeah, like
you
I
can
was
see the confidence.
Yeah, it's a different me. So I don't want to lose that, and I've gone in there without that, and like I don't want to lose that before. I don't want to lose that before I'm done fighting. When I'm done fighting and I just want to coach people, yeah, absolutely.
I know, dude. That's the thing about those heavy drugs like DMT, ayahuasca. I'm scared of those too. Because they talk about that. They talk about like people who've done that. I mean, fighters who've done it, they don't want to fight anymore when they're done. They're like, fuck, I don't want to fight. I don't want to beat some dude up anymore.
Because you think about it, it doesn't really make sense for like a rational human. You're like, who wants to get locked into a cage? That's totally our ego that puts us in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like when people talk about, dude, like, fuck you. Yeah, dude, don't be, when people say fighters shouldn't be cocky or shouldn't be arrogant, I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to act however I want to act.
Yeah.
Like, don't showboat. Like, I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. You should be the truest expression of who you are. Mm-hmm. But, like, when I fight and my ego's going, that's where
let it rip.
I let it go.
Oh, fuck yeah. Dude, I mean, do you have a pretty good relationship with your parents?
Yeah.
What do they do for work?
So my mom just recently moved to New York. She was a foster mom for a very, very, very long time. She just sold her house here in Arizona because the market's trash, and she moved out there and she bought a house in New York and Western New York. My dad was a teacher, retired. My stepmom is a teacher. She's getting ready to retire.
Oh, sweet. I was thinking about it the other night when I was all dabbed out. I was like, dude, it's the lack of, I mean, people that were born in the 1900s, 1940s, 30s, 20s, or 1950s, 1960s, the lack of knowledge they had. I mean, not knowledge, the lack of information they had. Like, okay, what? You can go to the library. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the library, you don't know what to read. I'm like, for us, we have these fucking iPhones, and we can look up any philosopher. We can find teachers. We can look up anything.
Isn't it crazy how you take information for granted?
Yeah.
We're having a conversation. What time? When did that movie come out? Hey, Siri, what time did...
Do it.
You know, or looking up somebody... I look up fighters all the time or their records. Like, I see somebody fighting on TV, Tapology.
Boom, boom, boom. And my TV the other day, I'm watching this show called Heaven's Got the Cult of Cults. It's about this cult, this fucking crazy ass show on HBO Max. But they were saying words I didn't understand, so you can just ask my remote, hey, what does this word mean? And it'll pop up on the screen what that word means, and then back to your show. I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm so thankful we were born in a day and age where we have internet.
Do you think it's going to get out of control?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. With 5 and 6 year olds having a computer in their hand, being able to interpret this stuff, like, I didn't start texting until I was a senior in high school. Mm-hmm. And kids are going to have their Instagrams, their Twitters, I feel like a lot of kids are going to be big pussies.
I think social media is, I love it and I love to use it, but I think ultimately for how we communicate, it's really trashed. It's made everything. Nobody wants context on anything anymore. Everything. What's 160 characters on Twitter? Nobody reacts to any deep thought, or like, that's why Rogan's podcast is amazing, because he'll talk for 3 hours and he'll break everything down and look everything up, and you get so much nuance in what he's giving as compared to somebody dropping it. Something, if they're talking about something political, it's a tweet, and normally it's dunking on somebody. So you basically try to create something that's a reel or a GIF or a tweet that's under 30 seconds, or because people's attention span is this short now. Because people don't want to sit there and watch something that takes 2 hours unless they're going to see a movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's crazy where shit's going. So, hey, Jay, you were saying Johnny Depp won the trial?
Dude, how crazy is that?
I haven't been keeping up with it as good as I'd like to, but have you been watching the trials and stuff?
No, I haven't watched the trial, but I've seen everything come out. It's just like you realize, like, watching her fall apart, and she's like fake tears, and all of the shit that's going on, you're like, man, like, some of these people who we look up to, because we put celebrities on these pedestals, like, they're fucked up.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, that's not who you want to be. Like,
dude, hell no. I mean, I think when you get so rich and you're so powerful,
you're so disconnected.
You just feel invisible. Like, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, I can completely fabricate that Johnny Depp used to beat me up, and like, really, I'm the crazy bitch.
Yeah. So you're planning on opening a gym? Where do you think you want to open your gym at?
I don't know. I'm gonna talk to Crouch about it. Because like, I would love for my gym to be an affiliate or a feeder gym to the MMA lab, right? Like,
that's kind of what we're doing here too. I talked to Coach about it. I'm like, I want to run a really good amateur team. I mean, there's been pros that have hit me up and said, hey, I want to come train. I'm like, probably right now. I mean, you can come grapple with us. We have really good grappling. But probably for now, you're a professional. You'll probably, a better spot for you would be the lab.
Yeah. Like, I want to take kids from grassroots, from where I started training when I started fighting when I was in the Marine Corps. I had all my amateur fights, to the professional level. And when it's like, okay, 3-4 years, when you're ready to step up to the regional level as a pro, like, well, even before that, you're going to want them in the room. But take them over to the lab. Kind of similar to like how Javi does with his guys. You know, that's what I would love to do. Is I would love to train guys who's like, I had you at square one. But if you really have dreams of like UFC, Bellator, if you really have big-time dreams, you're going to have to go over to the lab. But I would love to be a coach.
And the reason I feel like going over there is because there's so many high-level partners. There's so many guys that are only trying to fight for their careers, and they're already professionals, and they're in this room, and everyone's making each other better.
It's not just that, but it's I'm going to quote Luke Thomas, because I watch his show Morning Combat all the time. It's the knowledge of best practices. Like, because Crouch is constantly, when you have all those minds, and they're not just Crouch, but like you got Randy, and you got all the different minds. Rob, you got Rob in there. My bad. Sorry, Rob. I love Rob. Rob just cornered me in my fight. But you have all these different minds coming together, creating something, and they're constantly watching what's going on in MMA. Yeah. And they're like, Crouch will be like, hey, I saw this, and this fighter dominated with this position, constantly getting to the back. And it's like, in real time, the knowledge of best practices is constantly being updated. Yeah. Like, this is what they're doing now. And that was something, when I first came over to the lab, I love the guys at ACS, but like, there was no real wrestling practice there. There was no jiu-jitsu for mixed martial arts. It was just jiu-jitsu. And so it was like, there was a lot of knowledge of best practices as it pertains to grappling that I was unaware of. So that's the good thing. The other good thing, other than just the great partners, is the constant update of like, these are what guys at the highest level are doing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just, especially in MMA and jiu-jitsu, there's just so much fancy shit that you could come in and teach people. But it's like, is that working in the world championship fights? What's working when the guys are in the top 5 and they're fighting each other? What's working? What's not working? Well, let's work on that shit. Dude, you know who I love the most? My favorite coach outside of the MMA lab? Henry Hooft. It's good. I mean, I've had a couple interactions with him, and he seems like just the nicest, smartest guy. Dude, I just love I'm a big fan of like true fundamentals. Like, can you throw a proper jab? Can you throw a proper low kick? Can you throw a proper right hand? Because I feel like a lot of guys in MMA, they get caught up in the sexy sugar and sweets.
Yeah.
Spinning, jumping, flying. And not everybody shook.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not that he doesn't have fundamentals.
Yeah.
But not everybody, but they want to do the spinning, flying, jumping, turning, but you can't throw a jab. Or you want to do all these crazy blitz combinations, but you have no home. You have no base.
Yes.
So if you watch a Henry Hoof trained fighter, they all, it's like you can watch one and be like, oh, he trains with Henry. And it's like, oh, they're all they have different styles, but fundamentally, their baseline is the same.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like at that level, it's like you talk about the NFL. Can you run the ball on 3rd and 3? Like, if you can't run the ball on 3rd and 3 because you can't run the ball, you're going to find, doesn't matter how good your passing offense is. If that gets shut down, what do you go to? So that's what I like about the guys that he has up there. I've been studying a lot of Henry Hoof lately.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's how I would want to, like, when I become a coach, how I want to, like, I can teach you spin and stuff, but I want to teach you how to throw proper, solid fundamental. This is how you move your feet. This is how you throw your 1-2. This is how you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, rarely fancy shit happens at those top level fights, like those fights that are in the top 5 and stuff. It's like always solid fundamentals.
Look at Usman and Burns.
Yeah.
The guy, and those are 2 Henry Hoof trained fighters, right? Mm-hmm. The guy who won the fight threw the best jab.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So what do you got going on the rest of the day?
I'm going to go over to the lab and watch guys spar. I haven't been back there since I went back and paid all the guys after my fight, but since my back's been jacked up, I've literally just been laying flat on my back.
Hell yeah.
Every day, trying not to agitate my back.
I mean, dude, those back injuries like that, I've only had one bulges in my life, but you have to fight off. I mean, you really have to tap into your mental toughness and your resilience because it's easy to get depressed.
I'm not depressed, but
I mean, it's easy
not
to
being able to train.
You could willow away though. Like, I only can sit here. I can't even teach. I can't even coach. I can't even get up.
So, did you have sciatic pain with yours?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
It was so bad, dude.
It's like a stun gun in the fucking hamstring.
Yeah.
It's just like you get up wrong, you move wrong, and it's like zap. And you're like, oh.
So you have a disc putting into your spine right now, or?
Yeah. So it's a bulging disc, pushing in basically to my nerve, which radiates and then goes all the way down my leg. And when I first had it, it was just like kind of like a pinch in my butt cheek, and then it became like a zap in my hamstring, and now it's just like everything. Because I fought twice with it. Before the Zach Otto fight was when I was starting to have symptoms with sciatic pain.
And then you see a doctor, and the doctor's like, you need surgery. And the chiropractor's like, you don't need surgery. You need the chiropractor. And then they say, once you get surgery, you have back issues for the rest of your life. Or once you start having back issues, they never end. It's like, I feel pretty good. I had a pretty fucking bad back injury twice in my life.
What did you do? Did you do injections for it?
No, I didn't. I just was consistent with my chiropractic. I got a good bed to where I was able to sleep good. And then I just tried to eat healthy, and slowly it started to heal itself.
I need to when I'm not training, if I'm not training, I'm eating like a fat pig.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I've been doing. You know, I'll listen to a podcast and drink a beer, or a lot of beers.
Yeah.
That's why I'm 211. So it's like, which is not good for inflammation.
Yeah.
So it's like, when it's a car wreck for me, it's a car wreck. If I'm not in the gym, I'm not eating healthy.
Yeah.
But when I'm in the gym, I'm eating healthy. So the diet has a lot to do with inflammation, which I need to start getting back right to help reduce the inflammation. What books are you reading before you go?
Am I reading right now?
Yeah.
The Mastery of Love.
Okay.
Read that one, bro. It's fucking so good. Dude.
What is it
Everyone
about?
needs to read it.
Mastery of Love.
It talks about you with your partner and not becoming attached to your partner and your happiness coming from your partner. And just, I don't know. It talks about a lot of cultural conditioning and the way our culture looks at relationships and the way people treat relationships now. It's really good.
I think men and women treat it different. I think a lot of women are like, damn, I'm getting in trouble. A lot of women, their purpose is to be in a relationship.
Some, some, exactly.
And guys too, but more so women than men.
Yeah, and some, because my girl, she has her own passion. She has her own purpose by herself without me. So when we come together, it's like it's a really good friendship bond. We're on the same team. We're both
She
chasing our
doesn't
shit.
need you to
exactly.
feel like she's
Yeah, exactly.
living life. You know,
these cameras usually die at an hour. I feel like we could talk another fucking hour easy, but
I could fucking do. I love
podcasts are
conversation.
Yeah,
like
me too.
I podcast or no podcast. Like, dude, I literally could sit here and talk to you for hours. I know you got to cut it here soon.
Yeah, we'll do it again though for sure soon. Everyone follow Kyle. We'll have his Instagram in the bio. And I look forward to you opening your gym, and I'm down to help you as much as you want.
Dude,
with
I'm
whatever
hit
you need
up for a lot of information.
Yeah, do it. It won't bug me. Like the first gym I opened up, it was a mechanic shop garage, and it was $900 a month. Old shitty garage, and we just ended up getting 15 members, and then moved over to a new place, and it slowly kind of built. So you could do it. You're gonna be a great coach, and whoever gets to learn from you is lucky. So, all right, guys, check it out. Patreon.com/Redhawk Academy. Give Kyle a follow. Fucking badass dude. All right, love y'all. Peace.
Feet are gonna shuffle in. I'm gonna throw it.